Welcome to episode 17 of Go, the Mission. We out here broadcasting once again from St. Joseph, Michigan. I'm your host, Corey Johnson. Missions is my passion, and I'm thankful for another opportunity to educate, enlighten, and encourage those of you who are interested in missions. Whether or not this is your first time listening, go ahead, like, subscribe, and share this with somebody. Just search for Go, the Mission on just about any podcast provider like Spotify, Apple, Google, and many more. You can also find the show on YouTube. So guys, we got a fresh new sponsor for the podcast, and we're out here repping it right now. Jesus Is. And this is from the clothing brand Where Jesus Is. It's so cool and different because more often than not, people who are speaking about religious things, they want to give you the complete thought and then have you react to it. But here at Where Jesus Is, the whole process changes. Instead of just telling people, now people get a chance to think about it for themselves. And it's a great conversation starter. I got mine and I wore it on a recent trip just the other day. And I had people complimenting me on the shirt. Give people around you a chance to think about Jesus for themselves and where Jesus is. You can follow them on Instagram and make your orders under @WhereJesusIs. Now, my guest today is a graduate of Palau Mission Academy and a real chill person that I've been privileged to know through the years. Naomi Seid. What's up, Naomi?
Hi, how you doing? How's
I'm
everyone doing out there?
doing well. Thank you for joining us here on the podcast. It is a privilege, and I'm especially thankful because I didn't teach you for all my time in Palau. You were actually never a student of mine, so this is a very unique opportunity because I'm gonna get a view into a whole different experience that I have no idea of. So
That's
I'm looking
true.
forward
You were
to
never
that.
my teacher.
Yeah.
Well, thanks
So,
for having me.
absolutely. Of course. Naomi, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I live here in Palau, and I went to the SDA Elementary School starting 5th grade, and I graduated from Palau Mission Academy in 2014. I just graduated with my Bachelor's of Arts degree from Portland State University last year, about 1 year ago. And now I am back in Palau doing photography as a freelancer.
All right. Good stuff. Making moves out here. I seen the pictures in social media. Guys, this girl knows what she's doing. If you ever get to Palau, which you should, hopefully post-corona, hit her up and get some pictures because she knows her stuff. All right. So, Naomi, you gotta start with the first question as always. What does mission and service mean to you?
Well, mission and service definitely mean doing the work of God and following in God's footsteps wherever He leads you, wherever that you come from. Let's say you're in the universities over there. A lot of our missionaries come from Walla Walla, Southern, and basically being a missionary means leaving everything behind to do the work of God, going to wherever He wants you to be, and just spreading the message that He has to everyone around you, whether that's the students, the locals in your country, the people in the church, the elders. It just means going out and doing God's work with basically just a full heart of service.
All right. I like that. So being in SDA Elementary School, and PMA, you've gone through the gauntlet of having new missionary groups year after year after year. How would you describe your experience with missionaries?
I love having, the experience to have gone to an SDA school, high school. I had such a great time with all the pretty much every single missionary that came through, became my teacher, became my friend. It was just such a cool experience getting to know and meet new people every single year, not just in the classroom, but we would, go out to the Rock Islands. We would go to sundown worship at the bridge. We would go around Bababao and hang out after church at potluck. There's just so much friendship that came in with having student missionaries come to Palau and be, our teachers, and not just that, but also our friends. It was a great experience. I loved it.
Mm.
Um, yeah, just like you, I've known you since I was in maybe fifth grade when you first came to Palau,
Oh
which was
man.
like 14 years ago. And that was 2006, right? When you first came to Palau?
Oh no, 2010.
Oh, 2010, right. I was a freshman. Yeah, and that was an eighth grader. So
Yeah, that's right. That's
like
right.
a whole 10 years, I've, been able to be friends. And it's been like that also with a lot of other SMs, which is really cool. So
Hmm.
nice.
Man, when you put it like that, 10 years, that's crazy.
That's a long time. That's a decade.
Yeah. And I remember, of course, that's actually how I interacted with you because you were always hanging out. It was you and I think a couple of the other freshmen, a couple of your other friends were
Mhm.
hanging out with the eighth graders. And so that's how I got to know you and a couple of them as well, which was cool.
Right.
That was cool. Oh, man. So, man, so many years, and my mind is blown when I think about this, when I'm actually talking with students who have gone through it. Like, what is it like having to deal with new missionaries every year? The bonds, that's kind of what I'm getting at. What is that aspect of it like?
The bond, well, first, it's really exciting because, we have a whole new fresh batch of teachers who come. Okay, who's going to be our homeroom teacher? Who are we going to be in the same circle with? Who's going to be at PMA? Who's going to be at SDA? But pretty soon, like, those walls just get broken down pretty fast, and we become pretty close because it's a small school.
Mm-hmm.
It's a small island. There's only so many of you guys who come each year, if not more than 20. So it's just really exciting, especially when the teachers first come, and then we're already at the airport with our leis and ready to welcome you guys and just get to know every single one. But the most fun part about being friends with or being in a close bonded relationship with the student missionaries is that it happens in the classroom, and we see each other every day. And we spend multiple hours together in the school day. That's where all the fun stuff happens, basically.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what's up. Do you feel like the missionaries met your definition of mission and service? Why or why not?
Yeah, definitely. No, they did. They always did. They always come to Palau with not the mindset of, oh, I'm going to Palau because it's a beautiful island, it's a beautiful ocean. Uh, that's not the reason why they come all the way out here. It's because they know, like, that's where God wants them to be. They come out here and they leave their families. They take off a year from school, work, whatever, and whatever they're doing, they come out here, which is a long way. It's far away from home, and yeah, they just like get really connected with the students. They do their job well. They teach, and not only do they teach the subjects that they're assigned to, but they make sure that we're on a path, that we're having a good relationship with God, which is, I think, the most important part about their job. Is not just teaching us things in the textbooks, but it's also making sure that we're becoming grown-ups who have, God in our hearts, who are following in God's footsteps. So definitely, they've always met my standards for being great missionaries and great examples as teachers, leaders, friends, everything like
Wow,
that.
that's awesome. I'm glad and encouraged to hear that. I know, of course, every student's perspective is a little bit different, but yours in particular has been different in regard to this particular question. than a lot of the people that I've talked to about it before. So it's very interesting to see that. When it comes to the missionaries, again, can you tell us about some of your favorite missionary moments and some things that they've done over the years that you really appreciated?
So back in 2014, when my class and I graduated from high school from Palau Mission Academy, we had two teachers, my seventh grade teacher and our junior year teacher, who came back to Palau for our graduation. That was the coolest thing or the nicest thing that any teacher has ever done for us. Two of them, they didn't know each other, and maybe they have, but they didn't plan to come together. But they, you know, my seventh grade teacher was back in like 2007, and
Wow.
our junior year teacher, he was here 2012 to 2013,
Hmm.
and they've always, wanted to come back for our graduation. A lot of people say that, and it's not easy to come all the way to Palau. It takes about a day at least from the States. It takes over 24 hours.
Hmm.
And the tickets are not, they're not cheap.
Hmm.
And they came all the way to see us march and see us off before we went out and separated and went into our new paths. That was one of the greatest, most like touching memories I have with my student missionary teachers.
Wow. What does it tell you about those missionaries who are able to make the sacrifice and take the effort to come back out to Palau after so much time to see their kids graduate?
It really shows that they really loved us. They really do love us. They love Palau. Just nice, because we want people to come and go with a good impression of our country. But yeah, I think it just really showed us that we're really loved by them, and not in just that parent-teacher relationship kind of way, but in a way that we'll always be bonded for life and as friends also.
Mm-hmm. And the reason I wanted to ask you like a little bit further on that is because there's kind of this impression that I get from people here when I talk about missions and trying to tell people about how awesome of an experience going to be a missionary is, that it's something that you kind of just go to do for a year, or it's like a token experience, and you go and you work and you come back and that's that. It's in the past and that's all. But being able to see missionaries who have come back goes completely against that mentality and that belief. Like, it's not just something that's experienced for 10 months and, oh, well, that was cool, never going to go back there again. Like, it's a place where people go and they have experiences and they connect, and it's something that stays with them. It stays a part of them for not only that moment when they come back, but also further into their lives. I think that's so important. And I always love it when missionaries can come back. Like you said, very few are able to make it back out there, even though everyone says they're going to. So it's always incredible, and it is a big deal when we get to see that, for both the missionaries coming back and for the people in places where missionaries go to serve. That's such an awesome thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it comes to missionary experiences, I know that it may not always be good. It may not always be. I mean, we've heard stories. We know how it is. But if you could say some of the things, like, I would call it worst missionary moments, or some things that missionaries did that it didn't vibe with you, or you lost respect for them for, what kinds of things have missionaries done that rub you or fellow students the wrong way?
I don't have a lot of those moments actually, but there was one thing that I remember throughout my high school experience. I won't say what year, but there was for my classmates and I, there was this very traumatic thing that happened. We had lost one of our fellow classmates. We had lost him in a house fire, unfortunately. And it was really, really sad. It was really, really, it was a very shocking news to us. He was my classmate from freshman year.
Wow.
So we've been together through a lot, and we were really good friends too. And he passed away, and then, well, right after this incident, we were very, like, we didn't know what to do when we were at school. It was just like we came to school on that Monday, after the whole thing had happened, and then we were just sitting in the classroom, not being able to, like, we're just trying to process it. We're trying to understand what happened, process it, and just like grieve, basically. So we went about our day, and then we went to one of our classes, and every single class that we went, we were given some comfort by the teacher in that classroom. But then we went to one of our other classes, and then it was basically like we need to get on with the lesson. Like we gotta just learn today. Like there's no stopping. There's no, like, we're just not really going to talk about it. Well, not basically, that wasn't what was said, but that's how it felt for us. We just wanted to sit at our desks with our heads down, pretty much, because he was in my class and he sat right behind me in that class too. So it was like it was a really weird feeling, really sad day for all of us, the whole school. But then again, like when we came to this class, it just felt like there was no, there was a lack in like an emotional response from my teacher, which we really needed that day. Most of our teachers, we have some kind of like bond with, that we could talk about things and we could just sit there in silence and it'll be okay. But it just felt little, we just felt like we needed just like that day to heal, but we couldn't really.
Man, that's unfortunate.
Really, yeah, it's understandable, but that is one of the things that I will always remember. Feeling.
Out of curiosity, is that like kind of the lack of an emotional connection? Is that something that was a usual thing, or did it just happen to fall right on that day?
No, it was an ongoing thing from the very beginning. If we didn't feel like this teacher really liked us very much, because we were always getting scolded or sent to the office by our teacher. But on a day like that, it would have been nice to have something, if not if just like a little break, or just like any words of comfort, or just a prayer. It would have made all the difference. But it was just one of those days.
Yeah. That hurts my soul to hear that. I can't even lie. Like, one of the things I was just talking with, it was a couple of the students from a couple years ago, just about how awesome it is how in every single class at PMA there's worships at the beginning of a class, and how those little worships, 3 minutes in a math class or 3 minutes in an English class, can make such a difference for so many students. And yet, in a moment when your class needed some kind of encouragement and to feel some kind of connection, it's so incredible how that one moment sticks with you and probably the rest of your class as well, out of that entire missionary's experience. That's kind of mind-blowing, but it speaks to the power that I think cannot be underestimated, that missionaries actually have, and their influence there for good or sadly for the negative. And Man, oh, I can't imagine. And I gotta say this too. I've never seen such resilient people in my life, versus Palauans. Palauans are by far the toughest and most resilient people I've ever come across. I
Oh,
find
really?
it so hard to understand. Yeah, like I don't understand how they go through the things that they do, how you guys go through the things that you do, and you bounce back. Like I know after being there for a while that I can see that you guys you experience hurt and you feel it. It's not something that you push to the side. Um, but at the same time, the way that you come back from that and just continue to rise out of the ashes, so to speak, of that pain, like I've never seen anything like that. And especially for such young people to see that as
Yeah.
well, that
Hmm.
like it blows my mind. We had, man, we had a couple students who, I mean, you're talking about juniors, sophomores, and they have a parent who passes away in the middle of the school year. And the next day they're in school. And
Hmm.
you wouldn't know unless you heard from somebody on the outside because they're not coming necessarily and, spreading all the business.
Right.
And man, I compare it because my first year, 2010, when I was in Palau, uh, I got news that my grandfather had passed away, and I
Oh.
remember I was messed up for like a week, and I like my attitude about everything just went. Oh man, it was not a good day. I think that
Hmm.
same night we had a basketball game, and I don't think I've ever played more angry in my life. Like it was tough. I know I didn't handle that well, and over time, when I saw how Palauans handled those types of things, I was like, dude, I that kind of mental strength. It's not something I had for sure,
Hmm.
but it was impressive to see. But that kind of getting sidetracked here, getting caught up a little bit. But
Hmm.
you know, for those of you listening, I really hope that as you're considering missions, you understand that it's not just a job. Your purpose out there is not just to go teach whatever subject you signed up for. It goes back to what Naomi was saying about what mission service is, and that's showing God to people. And imagine the kind of impact that this particular missionary might have had on that class if he took the time, if they took the time to share a little bit of encouragement and a little bit of Jesus with that class in that moment. What might that have done? And we mention this all the time, and I'll ask you, Naomi, how many of your classmates were Adventists, were Seventh day Adventists?
A good number of us, but there, no, not every single one of my classmates are Adventists, but I would say maybe like 2/3.
Okay. That's
Two thirds.
actually that's a good number, a good number. And for the additional encouragement that people who already believe in the same thing as what the school is teaching, that could have been huge. And I think especially on the ones who weren't SDA, that might have made even perhaps a bigger impact, um,
Hmm.
if they would have received something positive and encouraging in that moment. Man. So please take that into consideration, guys. It's not a job. It's an experience. You're there to connect with people. Take advantage of that opportunity to really shine for God and to have compassion on people and you know be there for them in a way that you have. Yeah, man. I got so many things going through my head right now. But you mentioned how everything happened in the classroom. The greatest time for bonding was in the classroom and in school with these missionaries who you were with so many hours in a day. And that right there, man, to be able to connect those dots and to realize that as an opportunity uh, to just really show Jesus to someone, don't take those for granted. Like, yeah, don't take those for granted. Okay, so when it comes to the lessons you might have learned from missionaries, what kinds of things did you pick up from missionaries that helped you in your experience?
Well, first thing I learned a lot about from the missionaries is that they're just like us. Like they're humans. They're people just like us. They go through things just like us. Um, if only they're a bit few years older, they come from a different country. But um, I learned a lot about like basically just knowing that they go through the same things that we do. They're sometimes, they're homesick. They're having a hard time being away from family, adjusting to the very different lifestyles here in Palau. You would know.
Yeah.
You would know.
Yes, indeed.
But, I learned a lot from spending time with them and talking to them when, we learned that we're very much alike. And especially when you're Adventist, I feel like you have a lot more things in common. The way we turn to God when things are hard, and also we turn to God when things are good. But
That's a good
the
point.
one thing I really liked about what I learned from them is how they handle those things in all those situations is always just through praying, basically just praying for themselves, praying for others, um, turning everything to God. If I were to go to a different non-Adventist high school and have these kind of conversations with teachers, and let's say we had some kind of issues in our personal lives, I bet the advice that they would give me would be very different. But when it comes from a Christian standpoint, all the things that I learned from them is that always, they would always talk about praying, talking to God, working with God through everything. And that's one thing I really admired about them, is that they were not only just saying that, but they were practicing it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to see. It's a good inspiration for us.
And that's awesome. That's really awesome. Like, for missionaries who can go out there and walk the walk and talk the talk, not just talk, but actually follow up with what they're saying. That's such an encouragement, especially because they're not always, like you said. And that's one of the coolest things about it is that, a lot of times, especially if you're in the high school, the missionaries who come to be your teachers are not that much older than you, and just to see, it's almost as if being put in that position, they realize, you know what, there's no way that I can do this on my own, and I'm gonna need some help. I'm gonna need some assistance, and being in that position, gives an example for the students to look up to, even though it's like literally just about a peer. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's the little things, because it was always nice because they would always be praying for you. They would always be praying with you. Just basically how they handled every situation that came across us or came across them, or problems in the school. They just really turn to God for everything. And, you see people who are not that much older than you, doing something like that. It really makes you look up to them and be like, that's cool. That's mainstream. That's what we should be doing. That's how we should be living.
Dang.
I liked that was really inspiring for me.
Yo, that's what's up. And this is so cool. Like, I, in my mind, I have like Palau in 2010, and I have Palau from 2015 to 2019. And there's all these gaps in my experience, And in talking with you here, like, you're literally the first person who I've talked to who has experience with missionaries in Palau that's not directly personal. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to take what I'm hearing from your experience and fit it in the gaps of mine. And now I'm like, dude, like, it makes me wonder, how come I don't know more about these missionaries who were there when I wasn't there? I know who was there like the year after me, and I know who was there like the year right before me. but there's a good chunk that would have covered your time there. And I don't have any idea who these people are. So
Right.
that
Yeah.
it makes it just that much cooler to hear that you were able to have such a cool experience like that. Man, I might need your help to track some of these people down, because I want to hear more. I want to hear more. Man, and I can't even lie. I am doing this podcast for multiple reasons. One, of course, I'm trying to get people to see that being a missionary is legit and it's something that people appreciate. But I'm trying to learn. Like, that's one of my favorite things to do now. It wasn't when I was in school. Well, it wasn't when I was in high school or college, but it is now. And especially being able to increase my view of what missions and service really is, beyond just what I might think about it. So thank you for this additional insight. And I definitely have some homework to do. So what can you tell us about some of your biggest growing experiences that may have involved missionaries?
My biggest growing experience definitely wasn't. This might be interesting because this wasn't in high school. This wasn't my experience with them as my teachers, but these were experiences with me as colleagues. I don't know if you remember, but I did work at PMA for a little bit.
Yes.
Yes, you were the chaplain,
Right?
Yeah, it was actually during that time when I was able to like realize like, okay, now I'm working with these people. They're not my teachers. I can call them by their first name. We're about the same age. It was a very different dynamic for me because I was always like, I've never been in that situation where like I can talk to them like without worrying about what I'm gonna say, or like not without the fear of being a student, student teacher kind of dynamic. But yeah, I learned a lot during that time from a few different missionaries, you included actually, because you were also at the PMA. You were at PMA with me, and then I learned a lot about how these teachers. It just keeps coming back to how their relationship with God is, and how I saw it. They're every single morning in the staff room, we would have a little worship and then prayer, and then there'd be times where other teachers would get together and pray on their own. And it was just the little things that I started to notice here and there, and how like one of the biggest learning moments I had with them was when I was in not a teacher's position, but in a admin position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't even lie. Until you mentioned it, I had forgotten.
You forgot. I was
Yes. That's so crazy. Like, that makes your perspective even more unique, because I don't know how many other students, at least in my time there, have been able to be on both sides like that. So, wow.
I got to be on both. It was a short time, but still, it was a cool experience.
Yeah. Man, that's so cool. That's so cool. Dude. And another thing I also can't lie about. I feel like I was in Palau so long that all the years run together. I know when I was there, I know when I came, and I know when I left. But as for being able to tell apart what happened every year, I need to start writing things down, because a lot of it is a jumble. But I'm pretty sure that was my second year back that you were there.
The timeline clear for you. This is when yesterday's senior class graduated. We're freshmen. So this was 2016 to 2017 school year.
That's right. My second year back. That's right.
Okay. Wow.
So I got something. Let's go. I got something. Dude, that's so cool. And that was to be honest, from my perspective, I don't know how much of this you may have gotten, because of course the school dynamic is even different from the missionaries and the living together as missionaries dynamic. That was an interesting year. That was an interesting year for a number of different reasons.
I wish I could have been around longer, but I wasn't able to because I had to leave for college. But
That's
I
right.
was there for the fall, the first 2-3 months of school,
hmm
something
You went
like
to
that.
Hawaii at that point, right? Or
I was in Hawaii before that, and then I deferred from school for about 10 months and then came home. Then I started working at helping out at PMA, and then I left to school in Portland. So I transferred
okay,
over. Yeah.
gotcha. You were in Hawaii. Did I ever see you when you were in Hawaii?
Yes, yeah, we met at HMA, which was the Hawaiian Mission Academy,
That would have
the
been the first year that
PMA
I was going back out,
equivalent.
right?
Yes, you were on your way,
Okay.
stopped by in Hawaii. We hung out, you, me, though,
Yes, that's right.
because I've seen you a lot over the years.
That's so funny. Like, and oh man, low key, I was gonna mention it, but I was like, man, I didn't remember for sure. So I was like, dang man, I don't wanna say it, and then it wasn't her. But all right, good. I'm not tripping. Yo, that's so cool. So I wanna emphasize to the listeners here, like you never know how the people that you reach out to and the people that you serve, how the experience can come full circle. Because in Naomi's case, it wasn't even just like we talk about how from the missionary standpoint, it's not just 10 months and you go and you come back and that's it. Like literally from the first time that I was in Palau, I've had different encounters and meeting with Naomi all over the place, you know, and in so many different capacities, ultimately to the point where we were even working together at school. So you never know how all these things may come back around. And, you know, I would venture to say that because of those missionaries that I may not know too much about, but because of their example and their impact on her experience is why she decided to come and spend a couple months working at PMA. Would that be a fair guess?
Yeah, definitely. Like I really like the environment I was in high school. It it really you really realize these things when you leave and you go to a different school that's not an Adventist, which I
Mm.
did for college. And then I look back and I was like, wow, I really miss being in first of all a small school. I
hmm
miss the prayer meetings we would have in like the first few minutes before class where we pray and we'd read scriptures and stuff like that. Um, I miss being in chapel and singing, and
My jam. Oh, I
yeah,
missed that.
I missed all of those things. So when when I went away for a while, and then it became a little like, and things feel a little unfamiliar when when you've gone to an SDA school for like 10 years of your life, and
mm.
then all of a sudden you're not in a Adventist environment.
hmm
So when I came home, I was thinking, what am I gonna do for these 9 months? Because it was gonna take about 9 or 10 months until I could go back to school when I
hmm
could enroll. And then so I was like, oh, I might as well, go back to where I came from, where I enjoyed a lot of the greatest times of my life, pretty much.
Wow.
But it just in a different way this time. I'm
Yeah.
not a teacher, but just as an adult.
hmm Dude, that's so cool. That's so cool.
Hmm.
Man, there was something you'd mentioned, and I got a little lost in what you were saying there as I was listening. I forgot what I was thinking of. So we'll come back. If it comes back, I'll come back to it. But there's something I wanted to ask you for sure. So
Okay.
let's go to this question. What advice or encouragement would you have given missionaries during your experience with them? If you could like go back in time, what kinds of things would you encourage or give them advice about?
I would definitely say, I just feel like I keep coming back to the same idea, but that is building a connection with the students that leaves like a really long lasting impact. Because I have had like a lot of teachers, but there's very few teachers that I've really like gotten very close with throughout the years. And no, it was to the point that we're already exchanging Christmas gifts with each other. I was making like mixtape CDs, and like these are my favorite songs, and then they would give me like their own mixtape. Like it was just those fun things that we would do. And then I look back and I just have really like good memories of these people. So I would definitely say to all the missionaries who want to come to Palau is, you know, every class is different, every kid is different, but like as a whole, just do your best to really just be a friend to every single student. Always be emotionally connected with them, I would say.
Yes, I like
because
that.
Because like you said, it's not a job. It's an experience. It's not just one way too. It's two ways. It goes the same for the teachers who come, the missionaries, and it also goes for the students. So it goes like that, and then, you know, it just works. You will have the best, most fulfilling experience if, you know, you just become really close with your students, I feel. Although I've never been, right? I feel like that would be the most rewarding experience to get from your missionary experience, but.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Like, man, if it wasn't for the students, anybody asked me, that's why I came back. I love the nature. I could go scuba diving all day, you know. I love the fish. I could eat the fish all day. No doubt. But the people,
It's the people, yeah.
It's the people. And I feel like I get to a point in almost every interview where I say this, but I have to say it because it's true. Like, whenever I tell people that I felt more at home in Palau than I do here where I'm from in America, it's true. Like, I feel more at home in Palau. Oh, and I think I remembered the other thing. It came back. So when you mentioned chapel and how cool of an experience that was and how much you missed it, when I say I miss it, like it hits different. I know what you're saying, because like I'm in the seminary right now, and you know, you kind of think being in the seminary, you know, you got all the spiritual folks, and we have our little chapel thing that we do here every Tuesday, but it's not the same. It's just not the same. And, you know, there's a lot of talented people who go up there and they do their thing. A lot of great speakers who get up there and do their thing, but it's just not the same. It's just not the same. And if you had to ask me which one I would prefer, oh man, let me get Friday chapels all day, every day. Let's go. Like, I miss that. And those experiences, man, yeah. I got to stop talking about it because I'm going to get too emotional up in here. But you get
Friday
what I'm saying?
chapels are the best. Yeah.
Yes.
Really, I miss being in chapel as a student, but even sometimes as an alumni, I would go back and it'd be the same. It'd be the same.
That's another thing that's so unique about it. And you mentioned the connecting with the teachers and they become like friends. I don't know of very many other students of different schools who are going to go back so frequently and so consistently to the schools that they've gone to where they haven't had connections like that. I don't see it. People, they go, they get their education and they leave because that's all that it was there. But in mission schools, you know, not just in Palau, but wherever there are missionaries that are helping with schools, there's something deeper that's being built there. And it's something that, as you mentioned, it's not something so easily forgotten by the students. And from my end, as a former missionary, it's not forgotten. And there's no way it could be forgotten. I mean, I got a Palau flag hanging up in my room still, and it's always gonna be there.
You've become a real Palauan.
Hey, yes. Man, I feel so validated right now. Thank you. That's like the best thing I heard all year. Oh man. So tell us, Naomi, for the missionaries who are considering going to serve, whether in Palau or different places, why should they go to serve?
They should go because that if that's where God is sending them, they need to go.
Mm,
It's not a question. It's not about should I. They. I hope that they don't have the thoughts like, will I like it there? Will I enjoy my time there? But more with the attitude like, if this is where God needs me, then I'm gonna be. That's where I'm gonna be.
all right, you're gonna have to tell them that again. You're gonna have to tell them again. Because that right there was some fire. I can't even lie. You're gonna have to tell them again.
Yeah, because it's not about. I guess I would say not to make it about themselves, but
Mm.
make it about the people who your lives are going to touch.
Mm. Oh
Whose
man.
life you never know whose life you're meant to save, right? So you don't know what ways God will use you, and maybe some of the missionaries who came to Palau don't even realize the ways that they've impacted me.
Mm.
Um, but you know the people don't forget when you're nice to them, and people don't forget like the relationships you build with them, and the things that you teach them, and also the things that we could teach you,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a two-way street.
That's definitely the truth. And that's one thing I loved after being there for so long is that I felt, I'll put it this way. My first year when I came to Palau, it was just after I graduated, and I felt like I knew everything. Got my degree, I know everything cool. Gonna be a missionary, I know everything cool. After that first year, I was like, I don't know as much as I think I do. And that was just 1 year. When I came back, I was like, all right, I've been getting in with the religious scene. I'm going to be the Bible teacher. Okay, I know some stuff. I learned real quick that first year. You don't know as much as you think you do, bro. And then eventually I just embraced it. And I was like, you know what? I don't know anything, but let me try to learn as much as I can. And that's where the fun in the experience came. I learned so much from my students. And I feel like I learned more than I ever could have taught. Like, no doubt, from the people, from the students. Like, that was absolutely incredible. And I have to go back to this point that you said, because so many times, I'll be sitting in the missions office here at Andrews, and people come in, and I've never heard someone come in and say, you know what, I'm kind of interested in missions, but I don't want to go because, God needs me there, and there's people who could be. I've never heard someone come in there and use that as a reason why they shouldn't go. It always has to do with them. Mm-hmm. Like, my reason for not going to serve is always going to have something to do with me. And you hit it right on the head. There's a shift in mentality that needs to take place for people to understand. Like, there are people out there that could benefit so much from you being there. Is that the first thought that comes to your mind when you think of being a missionary? Or is all the stuff you're leaving behind the first thought that comes to mind when you think of being a missionary?
That's a good point.
That's everything in the difference. And you hit it on the head. That's why I had to get you to say it again, because man, that's powerful right there. That's powerful right there. I'm gonna have to sit down and like write that out, because the cool thing is I'm actually gonna be the student missions club president this year.
Oh wow!
So
wow.
yeah.
Oh, cool. Congrats.
Thank you.
You're perfect for that.
Man, we try to do a little bit. God is good. God is good. But I'm definitely going to try to write out, and I'm going to have to listen to this a few times just to flesh it out completely. But what you said about that, I feel like that's something that can hit people a little bit differently and help them to realize where their focus really is. When it comes to them being approached with this idea of going to serve. Because, again, it's bigger than just going overseas to serve. It's the mentality of mission and service in general. And too many people think of what it's going to cost them to go serve instead of the benefit that they would give. It's more about me than it is about the people out there. And so that's so powerful. I definitely, a lot of people are going to be hearing about that this year. I just leave it at that.
It just kind of made me think about when I was reading that question or trying to come up with an answer for that question. I just kept thinking about, Jesus. When Jesus came to earth, it's not like he would have, he didn't think about what he was leaving behind, but he was thinking about what he could go into the world and share, and who he could save. And basically, like, every single life could change or every single person's life could change because of this one person. Or so if student missionary teachers align their thinking, which I know a lot of them do, but to have that mentality where, okay, I'm gonna go to this or this country, not with the intentions of not thinking like, what am I leaving behind, like what is this gonna do to me, but what am I gonna do for others. And I feel like it's more blessed to give than to receive, so I feel like you'd be more blessed in that way. So
you're out here preaching. Yo, even when you mentioned about Jesus right there, that was like, dang, man. Because if anybody had something worth wanting to hold on to and not leaving behind, it was Jesus. Come on now.
It was Jesus. Yeah.
That's the only
true.
one. There's no one else who has anything to the same level of what he had and was willing to let go of. Mm-hmm. No one.
And he let go of everything.
Yes.
And for to come to earth and be crucified, and that was still a blessing for everyone. So people don't forget the things that you do. I just hope that all the teachers who are gonna come to Palau will just remember that, and like know that we don't take your service very lightly. Like, we take it to heart, and we remember you, and we appreciate you guys, and like, it goes a long way. People don't forget.
Man, that 100%. That's facts. My goodness, I'm sitting over here mind blown. But again, this is why I love doing this. I get to learn just so many new things, and it's the greatest thing ever. I love it. I love it. So, Naomi, this is my last question, and I believe you have answered already. But I always have to ask it again, just to make it definitive and clear beyond a shadow of a doubt. And the question is this: do you think that missionaries really make a difference?
100% yes. Yeah. Absolutely. I've been changed personally by a lot of the student missionaries, and they definitely make a difference because they come, I know I'm repeating myself, but they come from so far away, which is not an easy thing to do. But a lot of them they come here, but they don't just teach, they want you to be having a good relationship with God. And that is the most impactful thing. It's not the things we learn in the textbooks. It's not the things we have to memorize or study for, but it's the lessons that we learn through them, about whether it's their own testimonies, which a lot of them do share. They share a lot of their personal testimonies and how, their walk with God is. They're very impactful. And I would say that they're doing a great job at doing what they do. And basically that's doing the work of God, bringing others closer to God, and showing that to their students.
That's what's up. I couldn't have said it any better myself. Naomi, I got to thank you so much for the time that you've spent with us. And this has been one of the funnest conversations and interviews that I've had so far. So thank you for that. Thank you for the new mind-blowing things, and thank you for my validation as a Palauan. That really means a lot. Never gonna forget that. Representing for my people. Thank you for having me. Yes, absolutely.
You have to come back to Palau soon.
Hey, that is the plan. If Corona wouldn't have happened, I'd have been there already. You would have seen me at graduation.
Oh.
I'd have been there.
Oh man.
But hey, whenever this stuff is done, trust, I'll be back out there. I'll be back. That's
Nice.
home.
We can't wait to have you. Yeah, this is your home. You have to come home.
That's right. Can't stay away from home too long. So thank you again. And I got to thank everybody who took the time to listen to this episode of Go the Mission. Once again, this is your host, Corey Johnson. Next weekend, a new pod will drop, so tune in, catch up, and don't miss it. Doesn't matter what platform you're listening on. Just like, subscribe, and share with someone so we can continue to get the mission out there. If you have any questions about missions or you're wondering how to be a missionary, let me know. You can reach me by email using gothemission@gmail.com, or feel free to drop a comment or message through social media or YouTube. And finally, remember, to exist, it's not enough. We out here to be out here. Until next time, peace.